Hi, welcome to Hyperion Hype Club. My name is McKenna and I love the Kingdom Keepers books by Ridley Pearson. Join me as we discuss this series and others published by Disney-Hyperion Books. Let's get into it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Hyperion Hype Club. In this episode, we are going over chapters 47 through 59 of Peter and the Starcatchers by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. So just before that, I'm very excited for my older sister, Tori, to come to town this week for a combo bachelorette trip. Her, the bride, and the other girl are getting here tomorrow, aka the day this posts. And that's the day before everyone else gets here, so they'll be hanging out with me, and I am so freaking pumped. But anyway, let's just jump right into the captain's log. For this captain's log, I kind of did all of Slank and Little Richard stuff first, and then we'll do like the Peter and Pirate and Mollusk stuff. So yeah, let's get started. Slank and Little Richard have hid in their dory in the pirate's longboat. Afterwards, they saw mermaids and slowly approached them, partly for their beauty, partly because Slank suspects they have the trunk. Upon entering the cave, Slank and Little Richard are attacked by mermaids. Ultimately, they get their hands on the trunk and remove it from the cave. While carrying the trunk, Little Richard's wounds from the mermaids are healed. As Slank and Little Richard attempt to take the dory, longboat, and trunk back to the Jolly Roger, the mermaids attack them again and get away with the trunk. Peter jumped over the wall to join his mates and Mr. Grin, who is confirmed to be an absolutely massive crocodile. We learn that the mollusks don't enjoy enforcing their law regarding non-islanders. A little mollusk girl spots Molly flying as Molly heads over the wall to help Alf and the boys. As Alf and Peter do their best to fend off Mr. Grin, Molly passes her star stuff locket off to Peter, who uses it to somewhat sedate Mr. Grin, who happily drifts off. Molly, Alf, and the boys, from here on out referred to as the good guys because it's a lot to say that every time I feel. Anyway. The good guys fly off as well and in the same general direction as Mr. Grin. Blackstash, Smee, and the other pirates that came ashore were watching during all of the Mr. Grin stuff. Blackstash and Fighting Prawn both suspect that the good guys are heading in the direction of the mysterious to them treasure. Shows up, and the good guys follow him towards supposedly Slank and the trunk. For references, this is going to be real quick this time. But since Mr. Grin is definitely a crocodile, he is potentially TikTok croc, as I mentioned before. Now to random thoughts. Little Richard smiled at the mermaids, whose memories at that point are those of fish. Most animals, as far as us humans are aware, see the showing of teeth as a sign of aggression, even animals closely related to us, such as chimps and gorillas. It makes sense why the mermaids reacted so negatively to Little Richard's smile. That and his disgusting teeth, but how are fish turned mermaids supposed to know what good teeth look like for humans? The mermaid scenes were more gory than I expected for a middle grade book. Then Slank shouting "fight like a man" toward Mr. Grin seemed kind of out of place considering he was fighting a massive creature that would scoff at that comment if he could. I mean, right? Come on. It was kind of silly and ridiculous of him to say that. The largest crocodile I have ever seen is Rex at Wildlife Sydney, who unfortunately passed away just over 8 years ago. He was 5 meters or 16.4 feet long and weighed over 700 kilos or over 1,500 pounds. The largest saltwater crocodile ever measured was 20 feet 3 inches long and weighed 2,370 pounds. Based on fossil evidence, the longest crocodile to ever live was around 110 million years ago. It was called the Sarcosuchus imperator. I don't know if I said that right. That was the scientific name. There was no common name given to it. They could grow to 12.2 meters or 40 feet long and weigh about 7.2 metric tons, which is just under 1,600 pounds. So yeah, and like saltwater crocodiles are probably my biggest animal fear. Um, but even then, like, uh, so I hope these statistics don't freak anyone out because they're not freaking me out. At least, the less I think about them. But even when, like, my family and I lived in Australia for a few years, and when we did a trip to Queensland, we went on a little, not a little boat, but we went, I mean, not the biggest boat either, for sure. Definitely been on bigger boats for tours. Anyway, we went on a boat down Crocodile River, which was obviously home to lots of saltwater crocodiles. And I was honestly a little disappointed we didn't even see one. Like my ideal scenario was for seeing one was on like the right side of the river because we were kind of driving down the left side of the river. But on the right side of the river, if they were basking, like that would have been my ideal way to spot them. But we didn't even see them, and I was kind of disappointed. But the whole time I was like, I told my family beforehand, no one leans over the boat, no one drops their hat, no one drops their sunglasses, the camera, whatever, off the side of the boat, because then you're gonna drop it and you're gonna reach down and then someone's gonna bite off your hand. And oh my gosh, but like no, we didn't even see one. It was super chill boat ride. So I don't know. I would do it again if I went back to that part of Australia. Because I kind of want to see one in the wild. The only one I've ever seen is Rex, who's obviously massive, but still. But yeah, cool, cool times. Way to go, Australia, with all those crazy animals. Okay, and then just a random thought I had when the book mentioned how little Richard always confuses port and starboard. It made me think of the game Captain's Coming. That was like the ship version of Simon Says. Like, Captain says, go to port side or go to starboard side, swap the deck. Um, three men in a boat or whatever. I don't know. It made me think of that. Let me know if you have ever played that on Spotify. That will be the poll question this week. Okay, now back to more something about what actually happened in the book. The combo of Slank being willing to kill Little Richard and saying that that a bad man had the star stuff has made me strongly lean towards Slank being a villain. Also, when we read about the Bubble Trail heading toward Slank and Little Richard, did anyone else think it was going to be Mr. Grand? Because I so did. I was like just waiting for it, maybe with my like little crocodile fear that comes from an alligator sci-fi movie when I was little, not actual real life experience. Was just like, oh, I'm ready for the crocodile fight scene. But we didn't get another one of those yet. It was just the mermaids, who are terrifying in their own right, and definitely not like the mermaids we see in the movie Peter Pan or in Peter Pan and Wendy, the book or play. But I guess they could have evolved over the next few decades. So, or wait, wasn't it 15 years? Yeah, 15 years. And become more human like. Anyway, my last little random thought is that it's cute how the fictional porpoise language has 237 words for happy. I like mentioning that. Okay. Now, how am I enjoying this book so far? It's still just good. I always say that I'd love to see stories from another perspective, but this seems like too much almost. Like we could totally leave out Blackstash and his pirate crew traipsing around the island. Of course, seeing that perspective lets us know that he's aware of the magic and yada yada yada. I just feel like in like an eighth of the book, there were like maybe three-ish scenes happening, and we're just reading about them from multiple angles. So it's like kind of odd, but I also don't know if there's a better way to do it. At, at least it's easy to follow though, and it isn't overwhelming. It's just like I don't know. I feel like we're not getting as far along in the story as I would like by doing it this way with all the different perspectives, because we only have a quarter of the book left. So it's like, how much can go on if we keep just showing these different perspectives? I don't know. I guess we'll see though. And speaking of the last quarter of the book, our second to last episode, which will be next week, we'll cover chapters 60 through 70, and I hope to see you guys back for that. Okay, and then on that note about the corpus happy language slang, the question for this week on Spotify, like where you can type an answer to, what is one of your favorite happy feelings? One of mine is the happiness I feel when sitting down with a nice hot bowl of oatmeal in the morning. I love that. So, yeah, you can also leave that in the comments of the YouTube video. But yeah, I will see you guys next week for chapters 60 through 70. See you real soon.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and follow. Also, please chat with me and other members of this club in the comments of the YouTube video. My other social media information and a link to the Long Distance Sisters podcast I am also part of will be below. Back in a whack.